Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you're watching this. And we welcome you to the new Trading Tools in Action webinar. I'll be your host, Nate Suleiman. Joined by me is going to be Mark Antoine, who is the Technical Product Manager. And of course, Dan Pipitone, who is the CEO and co-founder of TradeZero Holding Corp. Dan, I nailed it. It was in my notes. 10 out of 10.
Nice job.
I appreciate it. You know, folks that are watching at home, we always mention this, and I always love to start off with this, as you can go to the fanciest gym. You can go to Equinox, you can go to Lifetime, pay $300, see the fancy machines and everything. But if you don't know how to use it, then you're not truly getting the best out of those equipments as well. And that's what this webinar is about. There's also some tools that have been with TradeZero that we're going to talk about, and there's some new tools that we're going to walk through as well. And of course, talk about locates and different things as well. But look at that. In due time, we do go and end up getting it. And of course, you know, I already see questions coming in. Kyle, Ada, I see those. I promise we will get towards those towards the end. But of course, got to go ahead and get our disclaimer out there. Anything that we talk about here today, anything that we show you is just our opinion, education, entertainment purposes only. As always, no matter if you're watching a webinar with me or watching these shows, do your own due diligence and do whatever is best for you. Mark, news, scanner, intro, what you got?
All right. Thank you, Sinead. I appreciate you. So you guys might remember a little while ago, maybe 3 months ago, we did a quick call on a quick walkthrough of the the stock scanner. And the stock scanner essentially allowed you to surface relevant stocks to yourself. And it was intraday. So anything that was going up, down, whatever you set your filters to, it was showing you what you wanted to see. We have something very similar coming for news, actually out now on TZ1. But before we talk about the news scanner, let's talk a little bit about the problem and why we built the news scanner. So on the right, you can see here the old newsfeed in ZeroPro, actually the existing newsfeed in ZeroPro, which is not going anywhere, but we are bringing out a new newsfeed to both TZ1 and ZeroPro. It is live for TZ1 right now, and I'm about to show you in just a second, and it will be coming soon to ZeroPro 651 in a few weeks. But let's talk about the challenge, right? We're all fairly familiar with news feeds. If you trade, you'll be very familiar with the fact that a lot of the small cap stuff that moves these days heavily reliant on news. You do of course get movers regardless of news or not. Some things don't need news to run, some things do. Some things run based on float, some things don't. There's many different reasons that something can run or fall, depending which way you go. But we're going to be talking here today about the issues around news feeds and what we've done to solve a few of those issues, and what we're doing to solve some of the ones which are remaining out there. So the current news feeds are a fire hose, right? You guys will know better than I do, or just as well as I do, that when you're looking at news feed right now, you get flooded at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., etc., etc. Right? Every half an hour, you receive that massive flood of news, and it all comes through one go. What we're looking to do here is take it from a fire hose, being everything, and let you filter it down, right? Let you filter it down the news feeds, let you see what you want to see. Which brings me on to my next point: is you can't filter by what matters, right? But what matters is very subjective. What matters to you doesn't necessarily matter to somebody else, right? So we're not here to impose sort of various newsfeed styles or what you're seeing on individual users. What we're here to do is give you the tools again for you to configure your own settings, configure your own news feeds to be fully tailored to the way you trade, whether you trade small caps, large cap, mid caps, whether you like options, multi-legs, single legs, whatever you trade, your news feed needs to be reflective of that, and that's what we're going to look at in just a second. With the current news feeds, by the time you filter through the 100 headlines that came through and you read through the crap and you see, I mean, just in this newsfeed here, you can see there's a good few items which I don't really want to read. You know, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see any headlines around, we'll say, Hive, right? That's a bit of a, it's a very small. What's the price of it? Let's check the price on Hive real quick. Hive is a $4 stock, so maybe Hive is all right for me, but for you, you might want to see news from headlines or news from stocks that are above $4, right? So that's what this is all about, giving you the opportunity to filter down that massive fire hose of news items and give you the news that you're wanting to see. Here's what we have: the news scanner in TZ1 right now. You can log into tz1.tradezero.com and you have access to the news scanner in this form. I'm going to go through a few of the features, and then we're going to run through a actual a demo of the scanner itself, or the new scanner itself. Essentially, it's exactly the solution to the problem I just described. It's allowing you to take that fire hose of news, filter it down based on the same filters that you can find in the stock scanner, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. So price, float, market cap, short interest, etc., etc. All the fundamental values that exist in our filters or in the fundamentals window even, you can now use those values to filter down on headlines. So in this case, it's a little hard to see, but we'll cover this in more detail in a second on a bigger screen. This news feed is filtered down to only show me headlines from stocks below $20 in price and below a float of 500 million. Now, some of you guys, or most of you guys, might want to view a float below 50 million. You can go ahead and configure that yourself, and we'll show you how you can do that in just a second. But like I said, so fundamentals filtering is number one. That is a de facto standard in the stock scanner, and now available in the new scanner as well. Benzinga feeds. So we actually worked with Benzinga on this one. So many thanks to Benzinga. We have 2 new feeds and 1 existing feed, which I'll show you in a second. But the Benzinga wire still remains. So all the usual stuff you'd usually get in the news feed. So why is it moving, etc. That's all still coming through. We also have the press release wire, which is essentially the press releases coming straight from the direct wires like Global Newswire, etc., etc. There's a whole bunch out there. I won't go through them all, but those wires are the gold here that we're going to be talking about in just a second. And also we have SEC filings coming straight to your platforms. Right now, TZ1 only, coming soon to ZeroPro. Save presets. You can go ahead and change your presets. So let's say, for example, I'm in pre-market. I'm more of a small cap guy in pre-market, but when we move into regular hours, open market, I'm more of an options guy. You know, I like to trade options. You don't get as much small cap news in the open market, but you do get a whole bunch in pre-market, right? And when we go back to after hours, I might want to switch back to my small cap news, right? So we'll show you those workflows in just a second. We also have flexible views, so you can go ahead and have it as it is now with just the headlines. You can also have it with the headline plus a little bit of a blurb, the first couple lines of the body of the article, or you could have the entire article showing and it's just an endless scroll of headlines and bodies. But we'll show that to you in just a second. But before we do that, let's talk very quickly about some examples, right? I mean, again, I fully appreciate all of us have been around for a little while. You've all used the platforms. You've all seen things move. But it's always worth covering not just the what, but the why. Why is it important to focus on news, right? We built the stock scanner. The next step for us was the news scanner. Why though? Here you're looking at 4 different charts, right? We have GREE on the left, BNAI, then you have GLTO and move. For those of you who know your stuff, you will notice that these are actually a couple months old. These aren't from recent times, but the lesson still stands the same, right? So let's look on the left. 4 p.m. we had a headline come out from GREE. That was the sole reason for the move. GREE would not have moved a single % if it wasn't for that news. The news was around New York City, air permits. In general, that I would categorize that news headline as a clean air type headline. And I think in November last year, that was all the craze. And anything that mentioned clean air, it was going places. BNAI, again, AI, that was a pretty hot, well, still is pretty hot, and has been hot for the last 6-7 months. Even probably longer than that. But there we had a 5 million AI licensing partnership that caused a 120% move at 6 a.m. in the morning, a couple hours after pre-market opened. GLTO, 450%. A lot of you will remember this one. An acquisition and $285 million financing. Again, that move was strictly driven from the news, right? Now, the way you guys will know it works is, or at least usually how things play out, you get the news, things move a little, and then volume takes over, right? It's the move will continue, not necessarily just because of the news, but because the volume's there, price is being driven up or down, and you end up with some real squeezes. And on the end, you've got move, 300%, a merger, and 40 million financing. Again, you look at the chart here, very hard to see, I know, but a huge number of opportunities in the first hour. After that, you're kind of taking a real risk in jumping into this thing. But we'll talk about those sorts of moves in just a second. And if you don't like small caps, maybe you're a large cap person, here's an example of 3 large cap moves from the last week, or possibly last 2 weeks. Dell on the left, 32% on their guidance, 60 billion in AI server sales. As you all know, anything to do with AI data servers or servers in general, data centers even, going crazy right now. And those headlines are hitting hard. So seeing them first, very important. MU 18% in the last couple of weeks. I think that was the 26th of May, I believe. And that was to do with UBS tripling their price target on MU Micron. And on the end, we have actually a faller. This was a Zscaler. It dropped 31% based on cautious guidance. So look, my point here is we have just every single day a huge number of opportunities, both long side, short side, whichever way you prefer to go when it comes to using news to take trades, right? And again, like I've always said, no trade is also a trade. But in this case, with these headlines, it's always good to know when things are moving and why they're moving. It's not always about just that they're moving. You have to know why. Before we jump into a demo, I'm just going to show you an example from last night, right? So if you guys were online at, I think it was 4 p.m., around 4 p.m., you can see there, the market had just closed, and around 4:20 actually, p.m. EST, we received everyone received a headline, and the headline was for XOS, ticker symbol XOS, and XOS launches the 2.5 megawatt hour power hub, etc., etc. Again, like I mentioned, data center is very hot right now. As soon as that move hit, we had a good 100% move in the stock. And between yesterday at 4 p.m. and today at around 7 a.m., the stock moved around 300% and is now coming back down. But we are going to take a look at that in more detail in just a second. But again, it's not just about knowing that it's moving through the stock scanner. It's about knowing why it's moving. And we're going to talk about that in more detail right now. So let me just go ahead now and switch over to TZ1. This is actually production, so you can access tz1.tradezero.com so long as your account is in good state, and you will find this view right here. This is my little workspace I've got going on right now. I'm in the trading workspace, and this is like how I sort of usually like to set it up. I'm actually going to switch over to the research workspace just to give myself a bit more space to show you what's going on here. On the left, I have a news scanner, which is the window we've been talking about. In the middle, I've got a chart. On the bottom, I've got 2 separate stock scanners. And on the top right, I have a market movers. Bottom right, I have a fundamentals window. So this is my little research area. I like to use this when it comes to making sure that I'm picking up opportunities as they come. And let's jump straight into the newsfeed. The news scanner. Let's have a look at the various features. So on the top left, as you'll be very much accustomed to with the stock scanner, we have the ability to save scans, rename, delete, export the file, import files. We're actually going to be able to export and import between ZeroPro's news scanner and TZ1's news scanner. So if you like using both platforms, you can switch between the two. Custom presets, so the presets that you create, and I'll show you what makes up a preset in just a second. Default presets, we have included a small cap news preset and a large cap news preset. Again, very simple. These are for you guys to go away and to play with and to sort of design to your heart's content to make sure that you're getting the news that you would like. We also have feeds. I'm going to untick the SEC feed just for now because it's quite noisy. But we have the Wire, which is the newsfeed you're all very much used to, and which is currently in our platforms on ZeroPro especially. And we have the press release wire. This is the one I'm most excited about. This press release wire right here is the one which is going to give you headlines faster than you can find the headlines anywhere else. I mean, it's quick, and I can't show you in real time. But if you're logged on in pre-market and you're looking at the news scanner, you're going to see what I'm talking about. This thing is very, very quick. And you have SEC filings as well. We're not going to cover SEC filings in too much detail today. It's quite a noisy feed and can get quite technical, so we'll leave that just for now. But we'll cover the Wire and the press release feed as well today. Moving on. All right, so we're going to skip these two sections here for now. We're going to real quick look at the results in my scanner. So the latest headline I received is from KTOS. If I just load this into my chart here, you see KTOS is down for the day, and it's actually down pretty heavy. So this is a great example of a stock That is down right now from $63 to $57. That's a notable little drop there. So let's have a look. Let's search KTOS. Let's see if there's a reason for it. There's not always a reason. There could be a reason. June 3rd, KTOS. I'm not seeing anything which is particularly indicating that there's been any negative news on KTOS. So I believe this could just be the market on that stock. So nothing there. Not the best example. But if I show you now, let's have a look at the top list, right? Top list, we have XOS. And actually, we just looked at XOS in the PowerPoint slides. I'm going to search XOS in the news scanner. It's going to give me symbols relating to headlines relating to XOS. Right here, you can see yesterday, June 2nd at 9:20, we have XOS launches 2.5 megawatt hub, megawatt hour, power hub, etc. Full headline is here, all about data centers. And at this point, with how fast these things move up, I don't know if people are reading the headlines or if they're just slapping the stock. But in this case, it's all about data centers. And with all the AI hype right now, data centers are the hot thing. And you can see this is the reason for the move. And if we just go to the actual stock itself, let's take a look at the chart in here. Yesterday, so this is today. Yesterday, we have the move at 4:20. And if you look at the time over here, this is in UTC, so forgive me, but actually this is 4:20 in UTC. And that lines up perfectly. And that is the reason for the move, right? So it's not, like I said, before you jump into a move, it's always important to understand why is it moving, right? Because you can get dumped on if you're jumping into moves that have no real catalyst, no real reason. It's just less conviction for yourself, and when you put that doubt in your mind, you guys know what happens, right? So that's XOS. Let's continue looking through the various features of the news feed, or the news scanner. So here we have the compact list. If I just get rid of XOS here, we also have list with preview right here, so we can preview the first few lines of each headline, like so. And we also have the full body view, which lets you essentially expand every single one to its maximum. And so as new headlines are coming in, you will see the headline as well as the body in one go, which just makes you not have to click to go and view that headline. But we're going to switch back to my favorite view, which is the list compact. And let's take a look at some presets. So I myself am more of a small cap guy, but we'll look at large caps in a second. So I'm going to click small cap news as the default preset. Give it a second to load. And you can see here it's populated my filters with 3 filters. I'm going to expand this bar right here. And we're going to see a few optional filters on the left. And if I checkbox price, for example, which is already in there as part of the preset, you can see here I can enter a minimum and maximum price. And in this case, we have a minimum price of nothing. So I don't mind there's no floor here, and a maximum price of $20. As a result, every single symbol that you see come back and all the headlines associated with those symbols will be for symbols that are below $20 in price. In a similar way, shares floats, we have 500 million here as the maximum. Now you can lower this a fair amount to if you're looking to trade real low floats. But in this case, anything between 0 and 500 million is good for me. So I've got that down as max of 500 million. And in terms of required ticker, we do get some headlines back from Benzinga, for example, which are generic markets commentary and aren't necessarily actually commenting on a specific headline or a specific stock. In that case, you'll see a blank symbol column. We have none right now in the list, so I'm just going to put that back to what it was. But you can filter out any headlines which don't have associated symbols with this nice little filter right here. Again, plenty of other filters in here. So we have domicile, industry, sector, short interest, market cap, etc. But I won't go into those in too much detail right now. But that is how that works. Let's create a new scan. Let's create a new scan. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this out. And I'm going to go ahead and, let's say that I'm logging in the morning and I want a scan which is going to be my morning scan. And it's going to tell me why things have moved and what the headlines were, right? So I'm going to go ahead and press add new preset. We're going to call this the morning scan for, we'll call it 7 a.m., right? I like to log in at 7 a.m. Of course, things can move before 7 a.m. on news, and things might have moved in the after hours from the previous day. So let's see how we can surface the news headlines from the previous day and the current day, which have caused for stocks to move. I'm going to first click change percent. I'm going to set this to a minimum of, we'll say, 30%. I'm also going to click price, and I'm going to set this to a maximum of $20. So I'm basically saying to the system, I would like to see symbols that are associated with headlines which have increased today at least 30% and have a max price of $20. In this case, you can see here that we have a few symbols popping up, but I'm going to increase this to 50% now, actually, just because I would like to filter that down a little. XOS, we've already seen XOS. I'm not going to talk to XOS again. We've seen it. We know why it moved. But for example, let's take SBEV. Why did SBEV move? What was the move, right? Here is FBEV, and clearly had pretty decent move today. Yesterday, not a whole bunch. So let's ask why. Let's ask the question why. Why is it moving? And the first SBEV headline I see is from 1:30 today, which is, well, that's before market open. So let's find something a little more recent. Again, compliance. So nothing that's necessarily indicating to me. Here we go. Yeah, so here we go. So Splash Beverage shares are trading higher after submitting NYSE American compliance, etc. This is from the Benzinga Wire, right? But what if you want? This only came out at around. This would have been around 12, so about half an hour ago, or 45 minutes ago EST. Let's have a look at how you could have seen that headline earlier, right here. Before market opened, it was out. Right, so you could have seen this thing on the press release wire, and been able to make a decision based off that. But the stock had a delayed reaction, and it only really started moving an hour or so into or 2 hours into market open. But another good example here would be S-Dot. Let's take a look at S-Dot. S-Dot today in pre-market had a move at around 6 a.m. EST. Let's have a look at if we can find a reason for S-Dot moving, right? So I'm going to go here and have a look at S-Dot headlines. In fact, why not search it? Look at yesterday. So I'm not seeing a whole bunch of shares are trading higher. The company announced it completed the acquisition of all issued and outstanding shares of Anira Consulting FCC. It's just like that. You're able to find the reason for the move very easily. And again, it's about finding out why, not finding out what. So that is the newsfeed. Now, let's real quick talk about how you can use the newsfeed with the stock scanner. Very quickly, I'm going to give you a recap of the stock scanner and how it works. So over here, in fact, what I'll do is I'll drag a new stock scanner into this section over here. And we'll just overlay our newsfeed, just on a news scanner, just for now. So on the left, I've got my stock scanner. I have a number of presets. I have small cap gainers, small cap fallers, small cap gainers 5 minutes. Sorry, large cap gainers 5 minutes, large cap fallers 5 minutes, and top volume leaders. Right. So I won't go through this in too much detail, but very similar story here. I can set my parameters. I can set my filters. I can go ahead now and say that I only want to see stocks which have increased in price by at least 5% over the last 15 minutes. But for the time being, let's switch over to the top volume leaders. Let's see what's going on over here. So SBEV, of course, we know is moving today. If I just click this here, you'll see that it loads an SBEV into my chart. And again, you can edit all these filters. So I can say that I also want to filter on price. So you can see here we have NVTS, which is fairly up the list. Day volume is 86 million. And what I can do is if I don't want to see $30 stocks, I can go ahead and press price maximum $10, and just like that, we lose NVTS. It's completely gone. So that's the stock scanner. How do you use the stock scanner with the news scanner? Let me move this over here to the right and just overlay it on top of my my chart there. So I've just got rid of the chart for a second. Let's collapse this. Let's use the small cap gainers, let's say. So let's see if anything's hitting right now. HUBC, HUBC. I want to know what the latest headlines were for HUBC. Now, this isn't moving like crazy. This is kind of just moving regularly right now. There's no actual news. But what I would do is I'd come into the news scanner, I'd have a little look for the latest news. If it hadn't shown up on the default, just coming in as in real time, then I would go ahead and maybe move on to the next stock if there's no news. But in this case, it's a powerful combination using the stock scanner and the news scanner together, because you not only understand what is moving, you also understand why. But let's have a look at our top list here on the right. So our top gainers are showing a few different various symbols. Again, let's look at Lays, for example. We'll click into Lays. Let's have a look at the chart. Lays moved yesterday. I want to know why it moved. I'm going to simply come into here, search Lays, and here's the headline. Immediately found it with no issues at all. Laser Photonics Laser Shield Anti-Drone System selected by Department of War under MEIA Vulcan Call for Solutions. You guys probably know what that means better than I do, but Department of War looks like the phrase of interest there, and is probably the reason why just before market open yesterday, it was slapped up. There we go. All right, so that's been a quick overview of the news scanner and the stock scanner and how you can use them together. If there are any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are bringing this news scanner to ZeroPro very soon, and we will be in touch over email very soon to make sure that you guys have access to that, and you will be able to find the download to ZeroPro 651 on the ZeroPro download page as usual, but please look out for that. But until then, Zaid, back to you.
I appreciate it. And, I was writing things that I personally love and can use and didn't even know about. So I appreciate that. The trading and research workspaces, you can finagle those however you want, right? So if I'm an options trader, I can just go ahead and use, instead of research, I can just have it be an options workspace. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You can switch between the two. And if you would like to use the research tab as another way to add more order tickets, for example, if you'd even like to use it as an option space, you can go ahead and do that, right? It's fully configurable and to your taste. Yeah.
And especially because I know whenever I'm at my home base, I've got my ZeroPro, but then if I'm traveling, I use TZ1, but then the workspace is a little different. So I'm glad you talked about the import files and the export files and all that good stuff as well. So thank you for that. And folks, I do see your questions. I promise I've got them notated. I promise I will get to them at the end. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about Dan's favorite topics, among many things, is quick locates. Dan, what you got?
Thanks, Sinead. So yeah, coming in ZeroPro 650, which is a latest downloadable installation file that's available on the website. We've made a couple of system enhancements, but the other is our quick locates. So previous to having this functionality, you had to go to the short locate window, you had to type in the symbol, hit the locate button, wait for a price, and then hit accept or cancel. Where now, if we come into the level 2 window and we click the little locate required section, you see a quick locate function populate here, where if I want to locate XOS, I press the locate button, it does its thing. Once the price comes back, I accept it, and it now gives me the opportunity to short XOS. However, when I no longer need my XOS, I can now hit this little credit button here right from the locates window, right from the quick locate window, without having to go back into the locator window and take all those other actions. So I'm going to hit this credit button here, where I now have made those shares available, so that on a FIFO basis, the next TradeZero customers that want to short XOS could essentially be taking my locate and reapplying it to them, and I would recoup a portion of the locate fee that I paid to get into XOS. So that's the new quick locate feature. It's available from every level 2 window that you have on your desktop. So if you had multiple level 2 windows up and running, you can use the locate feature on each of those.
But I want to quickly go through what I see. And all right, let's go ahead and start with this one here. I believe, Mark, you may be able to take this one. When will the new scanner be available in ZeroPro, unless it already is?
Yeah, so new scanner will be available in ZeroPro 651, coming out towards the end of this month, end of June. So we're looking about 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll be out on ZeroPro. We're putting the final few touches on the new scanner. TZ1 does have the scanner, so if you would like, you can of course go over to TZ1, tz1.tradezero.com. But yes, about 3 to 4 weeks out from ZeroPro 651.
All right, appreciate that. I've got this one from Boris. Dan, if you want to, about locate. Will there be a info? Is it easy to short or hard, right? For example, Apple, easy to short, where some other small caps might be a little tougher.
Yes, so right next to the, on the market depth window and on the quick quote window, there is, right next to where you type in the symbol, there's a little indicator right to the right of it, where during my demonstration, I clicked on the little red LR. That LR stands for locate required. If that's an easy to borrow symbol, it'll show up with a green S and an arrow. That means that the stock's easy to borrow. You don't need to do any locates. We actually won't allow you to buy a locate because it's easy to borrow. You can just proceed with going ahead and shorting that.
All right, appreciate that. Got this one from Kyle. Kyle, by the way, I know you've come to the previous webinar, so I appreciate you. Also, are you guys going to keep the TradeZero free platform? I love the TradeZero free platform. It is simple.
Zero free is not going anywhere. Matter of fact, we're in the process of creating the application in all different languages. So leveraging AI, the Zero Free platform is built with language framework as part of it. So we're continuing to enhance the product, so it's not going anywhere.
Awesome. Got this one from Otto. Will cash accounts be limited to settled funds, or will the access be limited to trading as well? I know you answered this towards the end, but if you could just give us a quick refresher on it.
Yeah, so yes, cash accounts will be limited to settled funds and will not have the access to do unlimited trading, as once you use the funds once, you can't use them again on the same trading day.
All right, I had one more. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? There we go, this one. And I promise I'll try to give you a break here. But what are the maintenance requirements for shorting stocks under $1? Example, $1,000 position requires at least $1,000 in unused equity. Any thoughts here?
Sure. So by rule, the shorting any stock below $1 has a $2.50 margin requirement.
Awesome. And then Benny, I believe this one is also an easy lip. I don't think I can mess this one up. Margin accounts gets 4x starting tomorrow. I know you answered that. That is still the case, correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and see. Can we get, here you go. I got one for you, Mark. See, I didn't forget about you. Can you get VWAP on Zero Free?
Yes. VWAP should be out on Zero Free. I do know that TZ1 is expecting VWAP to be coming out pretty soon. I have had I've had the feedback from you guys. So I'm not too sure if you're meaning Zero Free or TZ1 here. Just because as far as I understand, Zero Free should have VWAP, but yes, TZ1 will have it coming very soon.
Awesome. And then Mark, we'll stick with you here. Midas had a question in terms of what is the difference between ZeroPro and TZ1?
Absolutely, yeah. So look, I could talk about this for a very long time. I'll go into it in some detail now, but just a small note: we do have a comparison on our websites under platforms. But one of the main items guys are using ZeroPro for these days. Multi-leg options, complex options are out on ZeroPro. They're coming very, very soon to TZ1. I know I've said it before, very soon on a number of different things in general, but this time around, we're about a month away from releasing multi-leg options on TZ1 as well, giving you the same experience on TZ1 for multi-leg options as you have on ZeroPro. Other things between the two platforms, of course, TZ1 having the new scanner, ZeroPro it's coming in about a month. Both platforms have things like the stock scanner, for example. ZeroPro is a little bit more of a legacy platform, a little older, but it is our flagship platform. It is one of the platforms which guys do love, and so we're keeping both platforms in line. So the question around what's the real difference? Our goal at TradeZero is to make it so that there isn't a difference, to make it so you can log on to TZ1 Web, so you can jump in there, so you can scan stocks, so you can take the same exact trades There's no additional order types. All the order types available in ZeroPro are available in TZ1. All the routes that are under your account will be available across both accounts, or both platforms under your one account. Our goal is to make sure that there is no actual differences. But I do see here, Steve, you have a note about hotkeys. Yes, so hotkeys is returning to TZ1 very soon. So we have two sort of types of hotkeys. We have the hotkey deck, which is the buttons that you can press on the screen, and we also have the keyboard shortcuts, which we have disabled just for the short term. That's coming back very soon in the next couple of weeks, so you can look forward to that. But overall, to answer your question, differences between ZeroPro and TC1, I describe ZeroPro as a little more of a professional experience. You have the free floating windows where you can separate them out between your different screens, etc., which, to be quite frank, you can also do with TZ1. So every time I look for a difference between the two platforms, I find a way you can do the same thing on TZ1 as well. I think so. I'll leave it there, but yeah.
Yeah. Quick question on like routing and speed and order execution, right? Whether that's on TZ1 or ZeroPro, same to same.
No difference.
Same. And where all of the orders are actually hitting the same order management server, management system. So there's really no difference.
Awesome. And I do see a question about charts. If you have any issues, like Dan mentioned earlier, you can go ahead and reach out to TradeZero. Majority of the times, not all the times, a human will pick up and go ahead and help you out and kind of direct you to whatever issues you may be having. Do you have a date in mind, Mark, of whenever the next update may be? I know a lot of these things you've talked about, or some of the things you've talked about, may be coming out in different rollouts, but do you know when the next update might be for certain things?
Yeah, so of course, like I mentioned, for the actual news scanner on ZeroPro, which will be the next release of ZeroPro, that will be end of this month. We're working on something very exciting. I'm not going to share too many details, but it's about how you can link the move in a stock to a specific headline, right? So it's all well and great having the news feed, the news scanner. It's all well and great having the stock scanner, but how do you take an item that appears in your stock scanner and automatically have the system make an attribution to a headline? And headline attribution is something we're working on right now. I'm not aware of any other broker who's done it, and we're looking to make it so that we can remove that manual effort from you guys, from having to go and search for the stock, look for the headline. We're going to do that for you. So that's going to be about 3 months from now. But between now and then, many updates to come, multi-leg options on TZ1, news scanner on ZeroPro, etc., etc. So that's kind of the timeline we're looking at.
All right.
Just real quick, I do see a question from Mr. Martin. I hope I pronounced that correctly, asking about API and when it'll be available to TZ Canada. So in terms of API, it is available right now to TradeZero America, TradeZero Europe, TradeZero International. I believe I mentioned Europe. Yep. It's not available to TZC, and you ask why. We're working through some compliance and some regulation type items, and I can't give you an exact date. But rest assured, I promise you, we are working through it. It is not missed our minds, and we'll have updates very soon. For the time being, you can still view developer.tradezero.com and take a look at our API documentation, which was released pretty recently. And as soon as we have it available for TradeZero Canada, we'll get emails out.
All right, appreciate it. I'm just going to go and throw this up one more time because we did have a question come in of 25% off of Locate. So it is 15% off of it, and that is for existing accounts as well, including the 50% off of the options contract fees as well. Dan, we'll close it out with you. Mark said there's some things that he can't talk about. There are plenty of things that you can talk about, if you care to, but the floor is all yours, man. What do you want to tell the folks that are watching?
So in addition to everything that Mark highlighted, one of the big pushes that we've made in recent months was to get not only our futures registration complete, which we are approved by the NFA to offer futures, but also to get futures trading incorporated into our platforms, which we are in a friends and family way trading futures. I'm trading futures myself right now via TZ1, working through some banking details to ensure that when folks want to trade futures, they have an easy ability to move from their equities and options account to the futures account in a seamless and real-time capacity. Once that's completed, we will be going live with futures. But I think the experience is awesome. We're using TradingView's charts, and and I am, as a new futures trader, I am just really blown away by the speed of execution and the liquidity that exists in the futures contracts, at any hour of the day. So I'm really excited to be part of that and to be bringing that forth in the very near future.
Awesome. Appreciate that. You mentioned the trading view aspect of it. One of the biggest things that I love that TradeZero has done in recent memory is also the trading view integration, which has now been there. So that's kind of really easy, where if you wanted to use trading view, you can go ahead and just place your trades there, move the stops up and down, all that good stuff there. Mark, I will give you the floor if you have anything else additional that you wanted to
add. No, I do see another question in the chat from Midas Bull. Any difference in routing and order execution, speed, etc.? Again, there's no differences in routing, order execution, anything between all our platforms. Your account is what decides your routing, as in what your routes available are. And TZA, if you do have any, if you would like to speak to a support representative about routes, live chat, phone up. Those guys will be more than happy to talk to you about direct routing, etc. But it is account level; it's not platform level. So no matter what account, no matter what platform you use at TradeZero, Zero Free, TZ1, Zero Mobile, ZeroPro, there'll be no differences in your execution.
Awesome, appreciate it. And friends, Mr. Guy, I do see it because I'm literally trading on it at the moment. So make sure you reach out to TradeZero if for some reason you're not able to see it. Don't know if it's like a country thing or what the deal there is, but we should be good there. Awesome.
So just if I could answer Francois' question about can't locate on TradingView, that is not a TradeZero limitation in any way. TradingView has not built the UI to allow you to enter locates, but what you can do is you can log into the client portal, and in the Bear Center, you can source locates from there. You can credit stuff back. As soon as you get access to a locate in the client portal, you're able to short the stock on TradingView.
That's how you know I'm not a short trader, because your locate meant different than locate, which Dan obviously knows what locates are all about. So I appreciate you jumping on there. Folks, thank you so much. And if there are any questions that you feel we haven't had a chance to answer, please reach out to TradeZero. Give them a call, shoot them an email. Always a fast response. And I saw a couple of folks ask about the webinar. Appreciate your email. I responded back to you, and I've got an update for you already as well. Dan, Mark, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Likewise, Sinead. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.